morning, everyone. On behalf of New Bedford Post 1, the American Legion, we thank you for showing up today and remember those who have gone before us. At this time, we'll prepare for the playing of our national anthem. I think anyway. Order, arms. The invocation will be given by Bernice Stenson, President of the American Legion Auxiliary. Bernice.
I get another raise. Let us go forth into the world in peace and dedication to your service. O Lord, let us hold fast that which is good. Render to no man evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted and support the weak. Help the needy and the afflicted. Honor all men. Let us love and serve the Lord, rejoicing in the power of his Spirit. And may God's blessing be upon us and remain with us always. Amen.
Thank you, Bernice.
Don't change the page.
We now have Logan's orders. Got it?
Chris Gomes.
By Chris Gomes.
Yeah, we just put it on top of this one.
Thank you.
General Logan S. Memorial Orders. Headquarters, Grand Army of the Republic, Washington, D.C., May 5, 1868. General Order Number 11. The 30th day of May, 1868, is designated for the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion, and those whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land. In this observance, no form of ceremony is prescribed, but post and comrades will in their own way arrange such fitting services and testimonials of respect as circumstances may permit. We are organized comrades, as our regulations tell us, for the purpose, among other things, of preserving and strengthening those kind and fraternal feelings which have bound together the soldiers, sailors, and Marines who united to suppress the late rebellion. What can aid more to assure this result than by cherishing tenderly the memory of our heroic dead, who made their breasts a barricade between our country and its foes? Their soldier lives were the reveille of freedom to a race in chains, and their deaths a tattoo of rebellious tyranny in arms. We should guard their graves with sacred vigilance. All that the consecrated wealth and taste of the nation can add to their adornment and security is but a fitting tribute to the memory of her slain defenders. Let no wanton foot tread rudely on such hallowed grounds. Let pleasant paths invite the coming and going of reverent visitors and fond mourners. Let no vandalism or avarice or neglect, no ravage of time, testify to the present or to the coming generations that we have forgotten as a people the cost of a free and undivided republic. If other eyes grow dull and other hands slack and other hearts cold in the solemn trust, ours shall keep it well as long as the light and warmth of life remains in us. Let us then, at the appointed time, gather around their sacred remains and garland the passionless mounds above them with the choicest flowers of springtime. Let us raise above them the dear old flag they saved from dishonor. Let us in this solemn presence renew our pledge to aid and assist those whom they have left among us, a sacred charge upon the nation's gratitude. The soldiers and sailors, widows, and orphan. It is the purpose of the Commander-in-Chief to inaugurate this observance with the hope that this will be kept up from year to year while a survivor of the war remains to honor the memory of his departed comrades. He earnestly desires the public press to call attention to this order and lend its friendly aid in bringing to it the notice of comrades in all parts of the country in time for simultaneous compliance therewith. Department commanders will use every effort to make this order effective. By command, John A. Logan, Commander-in-Chief.
Gettysburg Address, Bob Ross.
Gettysburg Address will be given by Bob Bromley. Bob?
Look that up. Just keep on going.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We are met to dedicate a portion of it as the final resting place for those who here gave their lives that the nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this, but in a larger sense we cannot dedicate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men living and dead who struggled here have consecrated far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work that they have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us. That from these honored dead we take the increased devotion to that cause for which they here gave their last full devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, and that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth.
Thank you, Bob.
Flanders Field. I'm not the president, by the way.
Flanders Field will now be given by Bernice.
Commander, thank you. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely sing and fly, scarce heard among the guns below. We are the dead, shot days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Field. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. By yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep. Through poppies grow in Flanders Field.
Thank you, Bernice.
In memoriam is Chris Carter.
In Flanders Field will be given.
In memoriam.
In memoriam begin by Chris Carter. Chris?
In memoriam. Again, our post has assembled to honor its heroic dead. 1,000 battles on land and sea echo the glory of their valiant deeds. Under the quiet sod or beneath the murmuring waves, their souls go marching on. Because of them, our nation lives. When we recall the things they did, the hero hosts seem mighty in our midst. When peril threatened and their country called, with what divine self-sacrifice they left their paths of peace to spring to arms, to make their breasts a barricade against the nation's foe. No sorrow for the loved ones left behind could dim the purpose in their souls. No weariness of march and watch could keep them from their heart's desire. No horror of the field or sea or air could beat their courage down. They fought for us they fell. Now, with one accord in deepest reverence, we do them honor. Let us not remember them in anguish. They would not wish our pity. For their sake, let us not forget the loved ones left behind. Our tears or words of sympathy cannot bring back the comfort of those living hands or the music of those voices stilled. Only the solemn pride of having given more than all the rest is theirs who live to weep. But all the world, because of what they gave, is debtor to them. Comrades, on this Memorial Day, let us pledge ourselves anew to patriotic service. Let us make ourselves the friend and brother, son and father of those who will not see their own again in mortal flesh. Let us grasp with fearless hands the flag so nobly borne before, and like those others, planted always on the battlements of righteousness. All who stand with us today, will you not consecrate yourselves with us to emulate their sacred service to those who rest in heroes' graves may not have died in vain?
Music selection, and I'll do the music, and then we're going to place the wreath.
We now have a musical selection.
His name was John DeBarros.
The placing of the wreath will be done by Comrade John DeBarrett. These flowers may wither, but they shall remain always on our hearts.
Okay. Post 1 honor guard, Chris Cotter.
The Post 1 honor guard will all be given by Chris Carter.
Here's your deceased members.
Deceased members of Post 1, 2015 through 2016. Alvin Wadswich. Enris Desrosiers. Arthur R. Freitas. Manuel Macedo. David Medeiros. Felix Tatro. And August Farias. May their souls rest in peace.
We now have the playing of taps by two.
Address by the mayor.
Thank
You see him?
We'll now have an address by the Honorable Mayor of our city, John Mitchell.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Morning, everybody. I want to begin by thanking a lot of folks. First and foremost, I want to thank Al Fuller and Bernice Stinson for once again organizing a very poignant and reverent ceremony here and in other ceremonies during the Memorial Day weekend. They take time out of their lives to do this right, and once again they've done it this year, and I just want to say to both of you just how appreciative that the whole city is for what you do. It really does make a difference. I want to thank the many elected officials who are here today as well. Many members of the City Council are here. Steve Martins, Joe Lopes, Linda Morad, Jim Oliveira. I think I'm getting everybody. Former Mayor Fred Kalitz, who comes to this ceremony every year. Of course, we appreciate your attending as well, Mayor. And I want to thank our Director of Veterans Services, of course, Chris Gomes, who does a tremendous amount of work in supporting events like this, as well as the parade, and as well as really everything that has anything to do with honoring our veterans in our city. Chris does tremendous work for our veterans all year long, and it's more conspicuous on Veterans Day, but Memorial Day. But people should know that he's there for our veterans throughout the year, day in and day out, in ways that are largely unheralded. And of course, our former Director of Veteran Services, Dan LeBlanc, who continues to serve in Freetown as well. I appreciate Dan's being here. And I also want to just note the junior ROTC color guard behind us. I mean, so it's about 11 o'clock right now on a beautiful Memorial Day weekend, and probably about half the teenagers in the city, and I don't mean this as a criticism, are probably just rolling out of bed right now, and others are still on their way to beaches. With these young folks right here have looked sharp and have maintained their bearing and in a position of attention the entire time here. So I just want to say thanks to you guys for for doing a little extra. Really, it's noticed and it counts. We're here today, and of course I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge my colleague on the New Bedford School Committee, Chris Carter, who is a veteran of Operation Desert Storm and who also plays a key role in supporting the honoring of veterans in our city. We really appreciate all the work that you do, Chris. When you come out to a Veterans Day, Memorial Day event for veterans like this, you in a small way are making what they did count. By that I mean, it's the little things. It's showing up on a beautiful day when you could be doing 100 other things, and just paying your respects, showing support for current veterans, but also displaying the reverence for veterans in their service to future generations, in part because of the message that it sends to them. George Washington said once that a nation's capacity to fight future wars is directly proportional to the way that veterans are treated, veterans of past wars are treated. And so when we salute the flag, when we do these ceremonies, when we show up, when we honor veterans in parades, when we say thanks, we're doing two things. We're honoring appropriately what they did, but we're also communicating to others, especially children, that what they did matters, and what they did made possible the freedoms that they have and the republic that ensures those freedoms. So we as a city send that message loudly and clearly. Pardon me. Loudly and clearly on days like this, and in every day. We have a proud tradition in New Bedford as a patriotic city, stretching all the way back to the Revolutionary War to this very day. And there are New Bedford kids, and I mean kids, out on ships and at sea right now. There are New Bedford residents who are on patrol in Afghanistan right now. There are New Bedford residents serving our country ably and with distinction, and we need to keep that in mind as we have these ceremonies. So I want to thank all of you for making it count, for sending the message that our freedom shouldn't be taken for granted, and I'm so very proud that our city does it in such an emphatic way. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're addressed from the post. What you want to say? Nothing. Yeah.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you who joined us today as we remember our fallen comrades. Some have said that Bernice and I overwork. We really don't. And neither do any of our other members of the American Legion. We do it because we want to do it. We do it because we know what it means to all of the families of the soldiers who have served themselves. But again, on behalf of New Bedford Post 1, the American Legion, we thank you again. At 12 o'clock, we'll be down at the City Hall. If you want to come along there, we'd appreciate that too. We now have the closing by Bernice Stenson.
I just want to add one thing before I do the benediction. We thank our veterans, and every time I see a veteran with a cap on or that I know they're a veteran, I always go over and thank them. But I also, if their wife, sister, or mother is with them, I thank them because they are the ones that stood behind our veterans. So we're all veterans, whether we're mothers, fathers, sisters, wives, daughters, sons. The ladies of the family have to serve also in their own way. But I thank the veterans for everything they do and their families.
Uncover.
God grant to the living, grace to the departed, rest to the nation, peace and concord to us and all our servants, the promise of everlasting life, light to guide us on our way, courage to support us, and your blessings to unite us in service to you, our God, and this country. Amen.
Thank you again, Bernice. We now close, and again, thanks to all of you.
Dismissed. Finish your program.
Dismissed. I'm going to march right out of here if you will.
You're dismissed. Thank you very much. I can't clap, I got my hands full.
Huh?
I couldn't clap, I got my hands full.